How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. Well, if you've asked around, a staple in the American family meal planning is pizza night. Americans flock to pizza, whether it's for family meals on Friday nights or an easy way to plan a meal for the big game. We love our pizza. We even love to mess around with our pizza and come up with new creations all the time. Even the big debate about whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza is one of those things that we all talk about. Today, we have a heated debate about what crust is the right kind. Whether we're talking about New York style pizza is better than Chicago style. The list or the debate can go on and on. All in good fun, of course. Pizza was first invented in Naples, Italy as a fast and affordable meal for the working class Italians on the go. While we all know that and love these slices today, pizza didn't gain mass appeal until the 1940s when Italians brought the classic slices to the United States. And for that, I personally am forever grateful. So some quick facts about pizza today. Worldwide, it's now a $37 billion business that employs over 1 million people with over 73,000 stores across the United States. 36% of people believe that pizza is a breakfast meal, not including breakfast pizza, which is delicious, by the way. The most popular topping is pepperoni, which is no surprise to anybody here, especially those of us with kids are going, yep, that makes sense. The average American will eat 46 slices of pizza a year, averaging out to around 6 whole pizzas a year.
I thought it would have been more.
Say that again, Joe.
I really would have thought it would have been more.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, well, I bring that average up.
Yeah, so we love our pizza, and the debate about which is best will rage on forever. So a few years ago, the pizza scene in Hutchinson was was changed forever and was welcomed by a new couple of owners to the pizza party. Joseph and Emily from Jimmy's Pizza, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
I know you guys are very apprehensive about, being on the show and very nervous about what could happen here today and what we're going to all talk about.
It's
But
scary.
I think it's going to be very easy and very relaxed. And by the end of this, you'll be sitting here going, wow, that went really fast, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody at the end of the show, after we turn everything off, was like, oh, that was good. That was easier than I thought. We're just having a conversation. There's just chords and things everywhere in our faces.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just totally normal day.
So before we get into all things pizza, we want to pick your guys' brain a little bit first. First and foremost, I mentioned this when you guys walked in, but I want to thank you guys for the early morning text on my birthday today with the offer of brownie bites. I love those, so thank you very much.
Yeah, they're delicious. Yeah, so it's Roman's birthday today, so happy birthday to
Yeah,
Roman.
I heard you were 41, right?
Yeah, very, very
Wait
young now.
Wait now. No, we vacillate between him being just a little older than me and a lot older than me. And as of today, he's a lot older than me.
Yeah, she woke up this morning and she was like, "It's what's great about today? You're 3 years older than I am now, not just 2." I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. That's a standard now." So,
Yes.
yeah. So birthdays are one of those things. Do you guys celebrate your birthday month, or is it just the day for you?
Just the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends on if we're at the store or not.
Sometimes it's the birthday 4 days later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Right,
just,
right.
Hey, we did a good job at work today. Happy birthday. Let's get some rest.
Yeah.
Present.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the concept of a birthday month is something that goes around. I feel like the older I get, the less my friends attempt to engage in that. But I've always found that to be different, right? I'm going to celebrate the entire month. But you know what? You do you, right?
You do-
If celebrating
yeah, of
you
course.
is what makes you happy, then celebrate away.
I've only barely celebrated my birthday on the actual day. It usually vacillates back and forth by a few days, whatever.
Yep.
And that's never really been a big deal for me. But though I do have some friends that have been celebrating birthday months for a long time, and even one who has told me that he doesn't celebrate birthday months, but this year it was a couple of birthday weeks, so I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
It's interesting. My birthday, as long as the two people that brought me into this world wish me a happy birthday, I'm pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And they usually cover it by 9 a.m. Mom and dad, I've usually heard from both of them, right?
Yeah.
But I go to work. I have nothing against people that take the day off. You should celebrate yourself, and that's a good reason to take time off. But when my son was born, that felt like a celebration, and so I would always take his birthday off, always.
Yeah.
That was as sacred as like Christmas. And we would go and we would do something fun, his dad and I. And then he went to kindergarten, and I took him out of school for his birthday, and he informed with little hands on little hips that he got to miss being the line leader and getting his sticker.
Listen.
And he was going to go to school. He has not missed a birthday since. He goes to school, so he can be the line leader and get his sticker. And as he gets older, it's less and less eventful, but he wants to be around his buddies.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal, especially when you're in school to go to, and it gets, I don't want to say it gets worse. It's great when you're like a little kid, right? And you get to be a line leader and it's like your birthday and everybody's excited. And
yeah, you get your mom sends cupcakes with.
Then you get to like high school and now it's like, it's boyfriend, girlfriend. And now you have to go because if you don't go, then they don't get to celebrate your birthday with you. And it could be a thing. Yeah. So like it's all fun.
Yeah. No, I had 7 siblings, so there was 10 of us. So if we did birthday months,
yeah,
it'd just be birthdays all year long.
Yeah, you do the math. It's one constant birthday.
And there was no birthdays in December, so it would have been all birthdays and then Christmas. It would just
let's go.
Yeah.
Where do you fall in line of those?
I have 4 older sisters.
Okay.
Younger sister than 2 younger brothers.
Wow. Okay. So 4 older sisters to watch your every move as you were growing up. How was that? I feel like that could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. They were honestly really awesome. I had really awesome sisters. Definitely kept an eye on everything. So I don't think I ever got too far out of line.
Yep.
Sure.
I know the sister just above me, Stephanie, she was kind of she was the one who would get me into trouble at a certain age. It was like I wasn't like old enough to make my own decisions. And so I would tag along. She'd be like, hey, you should do this.
Yeah. You were the scapegoat. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And then she could be like, hey, Joseph did it. It wasn't me. And it worked. And so then eventually I, at about 13, I stopped doing. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Emily, do you come from a big family?
I have 3 brothers.
Okay.
So, 1 older brother and 2 younger brothers.
Yeah, I had an older brother too, and I remember when you guys are going to be like, what? But the Nintendo came out, the first Nintendo.
Oh.
And my brother spent, I'm guessing, 2 to 3 months priming me to ask for it for my birthday, right? Like planting the idea in my head that a video gaming system was something that I would somehow want.
Right.
Because guess who wanted it? He did. And guess what I asked for? He got me. I asked for the Nintendo. I got the Nintendo, and he played the Nintendo.
That's perfect.
Did you get any games for it?
Yeah. Well, I think Mario and Duck Hunt came with it. Okay. I did get the Legend of Zelda, and I did get mildly addicted to that game. Like I played that game a lot.
Have you played the new Legend of Zelda? The Breath of the Wild?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you need to talk to Hayden about that because that is one of his favorite games.
Okay.
And it's vastly different from the Zelda you and I grew up with compared to what it is now. But he loves it. So you got to try it.
To check it out.
Yeah, you have to check it out. Okay, so speaking of brain farts, this is me in my head talking to myself right now and thinking I was going to say something that didn't happen. But you know what doesn't happen right now? We might not have to turn our clocks back anymore. We might not have to move that. So the U.S. Senate on Tuesday passed legislation that would make daylight savings time permanent starting in 2023. Since 2015, about 30 states have introduced legislation to end the twice-yearly changing of the clocks, including Minnesota, with some states proposing to do it only if neighboring states do the same. If that happens, do you care?
No, I don't. Honestly, I've always wondered, we go forward and we go back. Now, if it happens, I might care. I struggle sometimes to be like, okay, wait now. So what happens? It won't get darker earlier. It won't. So I don't know.
Math
I don't know
tough.
if math is really hard. Thank you for understanding.
No, and it's weird to think of how it'll affect you until it happens. It happens, and you're like, this actually is really awesome, or this really sucks.
Yeah.
Right? You just don't know how it's going to hit you and how everyone else affects it. Or you're like, wait, okay, so we don't change our clocks. Okay, so everything's just normal. And then then it's confusing.
Here's the most fascinating thing about this to me. Okay, it is no surprise to anyone that our country for the past, 5 to 20 years, has never been more divided. But this is what every single person on every spectrum of the political scale came to, I don't want to change my microwave clock, and I don't want to change the clock in my car. That's what we all agree on.
Yeah.
That's where we land as Americans.
It was a unanimous vote.
Unanimous.
Yeah, so it's off to the House now, and we'll see if it passes. But I'll tell you what. Everyone's kind of losing their minds on Twitter, right? And they're like, this is gonna suck and it's gonna be dark forever. I'm like, I don't care. Number one, most kids get dropped off at school now. They don't ride the bus.
Mm-hmm.
There is a group that rides it, of course, but we don't. It doesn't matter, right? I hate driving into the sun in the morning. I live on the west side of town.
Yep.
And turning that corner and driving towards the school with the sun blazing right in my eyes is a horrible way to start the day. I can ease into
How
the
do you
day.
really feel?
I know. He has big life
I'm
problems.
telling you, this-
sunshine.
This sun issue has been an issue for me my entire life. I've always lived on the west side of town, no matter where I've been at. So driving into the sun in the morning is just scorching my eyes. I hate it.
Yeah, don't ask him about birds, okay?
No,
Just don't.
we're- and-
Very angry about birds.
I noticed that. So we have a robin that likes to build a nest right out here at our front door, and I can't stand it because open the door and he might fly in. He's gonna poop all over everything. It's terrible. It's just dirt everywhere.
No, I'm actually understanding this. Whereas before, when I was, didn't own a home, I
Yeah.
was like, why would you?
Oh,
Yeah,
and they
no.
do
Whereas
chirp
now-
really loudly in the morning.
time.
And like they're sitting on your shoulder to wake you up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's terrible. So as I've gotten older, Jill's
terrible.
like, Jill sit here and be like, when we get older, this is a look into my future. You're going to be sitting there talking about birds out the window, how these birds are everywhere. And they are. They're like flying rats. I can't stand
I
them.
just envision us being real old, right? And either like on the verge of needing to leave our home or in an assisted living, in our little rocking chairs next to each other, holding hands. And he's like, burner, sun, and birds. And then I'm just like, it's okay, sweetheart. Like, that's just my future, and that's okay.
Drink your prune juice.
That's perfect.
All right, back to pizza, huh?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, congratulations are in order. You guys just passed your 4-year anniversary at Jimmy's.
Thank you.
Does it feel fast? Does it feel short?
A little of both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember thinking about it the other day, and I think I mentioned it to you guys. And I said, God, you guys have been, what's it going to be like 3 years? You're like, no, it's like 4 or 5 or something. You were like, math is hard still right now, but that's a long time, but it goes by really fast.
Yeah.
Of course, 2 years feel like we kind of lost 2 years
I know.
because of everything, but you guys kind of worked right through, and it had to be a pretty nice business model in the fact that you guys have a delivery system built in already.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably weren't affected too much. I mean, obviously inside meals, it's a bummer because you guys have a great buffet.
Yeah.
But going through the COVID stuff and stuff, you guys worked right through that. Pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, we were really fortunate with being mostly takeout and delivery that helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the 4 years because you guys
Thank you.
have really done a lot. And everybody that I talked to when we talked to them about doing this podcast with you guys today, you got to talk to them about this. You got to talk to them about that. So we have some things that we will talk about with you guys. But tell us a story about how you guys got started in pizza.
I guess I was the first one to get started in pizza. I started at 15 years old at a Papa Murphy's in the cities. And that's where I learned how to make pizza quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you learned, I started there, was there for between 2 different stores for the next 3 years about. I was an assistant manager and I ran one of the stores for over a summer before I went to college. And that's where I learned how not to lead.
Yeah.
Because I thought leadership was you just were able to make pizzas, or you were able to make the stuff faster, and you just knew how to call the shots. And then I got into that leadership position, and I went, oh boy,
I think
why don't people listen to me? I tell them to do stuff, And so I realized that there's so much more to it, and it's not just. And it was because I didn't realize what I wanted in a leader, or like I knew what I wanted in a leader, and then like you try and be that leader to someone else, and they want different things in a leader, and so then you have to like learn how to take care of your team, and so I learned how not to do that. So that was kind of my first introduction to pizza, and after that I was like, I'm out. I'm into manufacturing. I went to school for CNC machining, so then I was in in Minneapolis as a machinist intern, and then it was like the opportunity to get Jimmy's. Came up my father-in-law on Christmas morning at my grandma's house, goes, hey, Jimmy's Pizza is for sale in Hutchinson. And I was like, and?
interesting fact.
Yeah.
Okay, like what's the point? And so then we started talking, and we kind of slow rolled it. So 2 months later, we owned it.
Oh, yeah. Gee, take your
Super
time,
slow,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
It went from like, this is a crazy idea, like we would never be interested, to 2 weeks later we were doing it. We were
Emily, do you feel like
excited
your dad
and-
just threw the idea on the table or pushed you guys a little bit?
No,
or
he just I think he just threw the idea
He
on the
threw the
table.
idea on the table.
Yeah, and it didn't take us long. We both kind of, I mean, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and Joe had been in pizza, and we both really wanted to own our own business. That was something we were already talking about. We were listening to podcasts, and so it didn't take us long. Like, we got super excited about it. Yeah.
Having that operational side of things was so major, and just knowing like, okay, I knew how to do the food ordering, I know how to set up the kitchen, or just understand how a kitchen's supposed to flow, and the speed at which you can make one pizza and you can cut any time off of that and make things more efficient helps so much with just because that multiplies over time. And so understanding a lot of that, understanding how to ring up pizzas and stuff like that just helps so much more with the operational side of things. So you're not going into it going, how do you make a pizza? You know what I mean? And not just make a pizza, because anyone, you can make an awesome homemade pizza, but trying to make that pizza again and again and again and again quickly is very difficult. So it's having that I'd say was the main reason why I was very excited and as confident as we were going in.
But you've been talking to, even when we talked about having our own business, you were talking about how cool it would be to have a restaurant. Like, that was a conversation going on for months. Which it's funny now because we're like owning a restaurant. You know, it's a lot of work.
It is. I can see though both of you have these personalities of that just is rooted in customer service, right?
Yeah.
Like you care about more than just being. At least it certainly feels that way at Jimmy's. You're not just there as a job, right? It matters to you how your staff are, how the pizza is, how your customer feels, and that can be hard to find in some restaurant situations, you know, and it shows. And I think the whole community sees that and feels it and tastes it.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys have kind of alluded to it now. Dad throws it out on the table and both you guys go, okay. How's it been working with each other? You know, spouses working to each other can be very tough. We have an understanding of it as well because we work together, but we're 100 yards
What do you
apart.
mean? It's been
some days.
sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's exactly the answer we were expecting.
That's my experience. I don't know about Emily's, but
Emily, we're going to turn the mic to you.
No, it's good. It's not easy, but it has been really good. I think there's just a lot of I mean, I think we are definitely like our marriage and relationship and working relationship is like at the best that it's been since we started. Like we're continually growing. So I think that's the most important thing. We don't like hate each other more and more. We are growing and things are getting better and better. I think, we've just learned a lot, like learning about what our skill sets are and like our roles. What would you say?
honestly, what I'd say is it's tough. The hard part is being intentional after work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're working especially the first year and a half. I mean, we were there 60 to 80 hours a week, both of us side by side. I mean,
Open to
doing
close every day.
everything together. And so when you're working together, it's like you both know you have to be efficient and you're both trying to get stuff done. And then you go home and there's so much stuff to work on. And then you're like, how do you like then go on a date?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Right.
it's like you're both your brains are spinning about work and you're both like trying to figure stuff out. And then you go on a date and you're like, so how was your day? I know exactly how your whole day was, but how was your day? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and so it's
Yep.
like you just see each other all the time. And so then you go on a date and you're like, man, I really wish I could just, sit down and eat my food. And whereas, you know what I mean? You have to be really intentional about that.
You do.
And
Yeah. It'd be nice to just be like, well, how was your day? And then hear about something that doesn't affect you. Right. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel that way with Roman too. It's like, well, I would love to just, for lack of a better term, verbal diarrhea, all my concerns, but all of that affects him as well. So I find myself hesitating, holding back, like, okay, whereas to just, and same with his day, although it's a little different because you have other businesses that I don't have a role in, so I can hear about things, but it's nice to step away from that. But you guys are figuring out a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think as the business has grown to, and our roles have changed, we have more and more separation. We're like, these are the things that he works on and I work on these things. And so there's more, just as your business grows, like the working on the business instead of in the business. And there's a lot more that we have just to talk about. And that definitely helps, just having a little bit of separation and ownership over our different areas.
It's important,
business.
I think, when we were talking about this podcast, I said to Roman, one of the things I'm really curious about is, do they have lanes and do you stay in your lanes? Do you each have areas that you focus on, and do you think that helps? Because in my mind, I think that would help. Like, just like you said, Emily, I have my stuff, Joseph has his stuff, and then we each kind of handle our stuff, and then makes it easier to separate a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what the lanes that talked to. Actually, the Papa Murphy's I worked for, I knew the owners. So after about a year and a half, 2 years, I went and sat down, had coffee with him, and he worked with his wife.
Okay.
And so then I asked him, I was like, so how'd you guys do this? Because they had 17 locations and stuff. And he said the big thing was, he's like, is having the lanes. Is like, find what she does well, find what you do well, and really stick to those things. And if someone comes to you with a question that's in Emily's lane, defer it to Emily. He's like, that ownership, because you may know what the answer is, defer it to Emily, because that you need to have those separate lanes. And then when anybody comes to you, make sure it goes to the right person. He said it makes a huge difference.
It's a respect thing to each other as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Very
so.
cool.
So everybody, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, talks about their favorite pizzas that you guys come up with. And you guys have a variety of creations is the best way to explain it, I think. You're just experimenting with things. How do you guys come up with that stuff? Is it you guys just sitting down and going, well, let's see what this tastes like? Or is it some of your staff doing it, or a combination of all? How's that all working out?
I'm more you.
So
You like to
when
experiment.
one of my favorite things to do is keep it simple, but then make it really complex, and then I have to make it simple again. Like, it's just this battle of going back and forth. But honestly, a lot of it is just, I've heard at podcasts, it's called stealing like an artist. And an artist typically will go out and just, like, he'll look at a Picasso, look at all these different paintings and then create his own from it.
Yes.
So I go to Google and I Google great pizza combinations or different, and you just start seeing these ideas different, like, oh, that's a really creative pizza. How can I make my own spin on that?
Yep.
Or you go to other pizzerias and you just look at their pizza menu. Like, oh, that's a really weird pizza, and so then you just kind of start to create your own. And that's typically where we've come up with it. Or customers
Customer
will
ideas,
say, hey, on Facebook, hey, what's your favorite pizzas? What kind of pizza of the month would you like to see? And then some people give crazy ideas, and other ones it's like, that's actually kind of genius, and so then we try and figure out how to make that work. And so that's where a lot of them have come from.
I hear that the buffalo mac and cheese, if I didn't make a plug for that for a few of my friends to get that on a permanent basis, that would be
So I
good.
was just gonna say, one example I have is we were ordering Jimmy's with some friends one night. He's on the phone ordering. He orders that, and I hear him go, "Oh, it was a monthly special." Yeah, but and his voice just fell. He's like,
Oh no.
"Yeah, but you can do it, right?" and they did. The staff did, and that was glorious. But and as he was talking, I thought to myself, what a great idea, whether this was intentional or not. When you leave people wanting more, the answer sometimes might be we can't. Right, we can't do that anymore. We order, if you order in special ingredients for a special monthly pizza, you might not always have it. That's okay. And customers out there might be like, Jill, what is the matter with you? But it encourages people to come back for more, to try new things. Like that's genius, whether that was your intention or not. But
yeah, I think it's just the natural way it happens. I mean, sometimes like we had the pesto chicken, and just once we ran out of pesto, like you can only have so many ingredients on the line and
Absolutely.
in the line, and so we have to limit it. And so sometimes like the buffalo mac, where you just add buffalo to the mac and cheese, or maybe a couple others of the toppings that we already have. So that's really easy to keep, or just to continue to build. But we can also only have so many spaces on our menu and stuff like that. So some of it is we can't have it on the menu, but if you want to create a build your own that is that, we'll make it happen. So,
Buffalo Mac is in my future.
So which one is your guys' favorite pizza? I'm sure you guys have one.
Like, it changes. Like, of our specialty pizzas, I think my favorite is the classic Italian. I love that one. But it kind of changes like month to month, depending on, different pizzas of the month or different things we're trying out. Yours, I feel like, changes
I'm a mood
lot.
eater.
You're a mood
so
eater.
it changes like probably by the hour.
Sure.
But there's a couple that it floats between. So bear with me. I think there's about 3.
You do the really weird one.
Yeah, I'll do the really weird one.
This is super weird.
But I really like a buffalo chicken.
Yeah.
And deep dish. If that's really comforting. I really like that. And then a classic one that I really like is pepperoni, sausage, Canadian bacon, banana peppers. That's just kind of like a classic where there's meat, but there's also the spin of that banana peppers. Then the weird one is those 4 toppings with extra pickles, extra sauerkraut, onions, sometimes a little bit of jalapenos.
We could hang out and eat pizza. Yeah.
So
Well, when you have the crunchy and the savory, and there's the dill aspect of the pickle and whatever you call the aspect of sauerkraut. I'm not putting it down, but all of it just kind of comes together in the warm and the cheesy, and
Yeah.
It's almost like a sandwich where
Yes.
you like it cooks.
Yeah.
It's like a warm sandwich that has the crunch and
Yeah.
and lots of cheese. So
Is there what is your guys' most popular pizza that you guys sell? Is there one?
Meat lovers and deluxe.
Meat lovers and deluxe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a friend that really likes the deluxe one a lot.
Yeah.
We have a couple of friends who work in an office downtown together that speak very highly of your breakfast pizza.
okay,
And I've not had that yet. And that's
you
one
haven't?
nope, that's one I've been trying to
Oh,
think
you
of
gotta
how
try
I
that.
get. So I know you guys only open at a certain time, and I eat breakfast pizza in the morning, so I don't know.
Take and bake.
Take and bake. There we go.
See,
I'm gonna
they've an
do-
answer for everything.
They do have an answer for everything. So sometimes restaurants have an off item menu, and you kind of alluded to it now. We'll make whatever. But is there something that if somebody calls up and like, is there somebody that has one that is like, hey, can you make the whatever? Like an off menu item that, you know, if you go to like a Taco Bell, there's like a certain one that's off the menu, but if you order it, they know what you're talking about.
I'd have to say, so we did a special that was like a giant pizza fry.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, the giant
And so
pizzas.
basically it was 2 or 3 times the size
Yep.
of
Yeah.
a normal pizza fry. And so we did that as a special, and then there was one customer that loved the idea, and that's what they wanted. And so then we made it for them for a while, but then it got to the point where like we change over of staff and only so many people knew how to do it.
Yeah,
And so then
it gets too confusing.
Yeah, it got way too confusing.
So speaking of the large pizzas, and I mean
Yeah,
large
you have
pizzas,
what is it called?
right?
The
We're talking the big
monster.
ones.
Monster.
The monster. Like, is that how many people order those a year? How many do you go through?
We sell a lot of them. I mean, how many would you say in a month? Probably.
So the weird thing is
It kind of goes in phases. Like
Yeah.
we'll have a whole bunch of people that have birthday parties in 1 week, and we'll sell 3, 4, 5 in a week.
and
I
then
don't
there'll be
think we've
none
done
for the
any
next 2
this
weeks.
week.
You know, but like
We did some last week. Yeah.
yeah.
It just depends. But we sell a lot of
Logistically,
them.
How does that work? I would imagine that you prep dough sizes before your shift starts, or do you?
We combine the dough balls.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
so
you
like
just
the
make
extra
it
large pizza,
as
we have like
needed.
4
Yeah.
dough balls. Yep.
And
It's-
roughly how
it's a
many people does it
process.
feed?
12 to 20 people is what we
12
say.
to 20,
Because it just
perfect.
depends on if you have adults or if you have kids.
Or 3 teenage boys.
Yes.
Uh,
right.
3
Maybe 3.
to 62 people.
Right. Yeah.
What I will tell you is that getting that monster pizza and having it delivered out to the lake is something else, because when you've got 5 to 10 guys hanging out and you just want to order just a quick pizza or whatever,
Yep.
and instead of having like 4 made, you get like one giant pizza with 4 different types of pizzas. It's legit.
And it's 4
pretty
different
awesome.
types. And is
Yeah.
it a standard, or does
Yeah.
does the
You
individual
can-
pick their 4?
Yep, they pick. So you can do the pizza all the same, or we can divide it in halves or quarters. So most people will do quarters and then do 4 different.
It's basically
kinds
about the
pizza.
size of 4 extra large pizzas. It's like 3.5 is the
30
exact
inches,
surface
yeah.
area. But like
Fun. It's creative. In my mind,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm an artist. I called Jimmy's Pizza and had him make 4 pizzas on one. I'm so creative.
well, and what was really fun about it, or not fun about it at the time, was the previous owner just had it up on the wall and he knew how to make it.
Yep.
And then no one ordered it until like 6 months later, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, can I get the monster pizza?" And it never really done like like the how to make a pizza, but you've never really made a pizza that big before. So I was like, "Yeah, we can do that." And then I was like, I went back into the kitchen. And I was like, I need to figure out how to make this. And so then I
that
was
business, though.
nerve wracking because like you get it, you stretch it out, you put it on there, you're like, okay, so what do you want on it? And so then we're like, okay, so then you try and figure out, divide it up, and then make sure it's all nice, clean lines, and then you put all the cheese on it, get it through the oven, and then it comes out of the oven. You're like, wait, how am I going to get this out of the oven?
Yeah.
And onto the table and into the box so I can cut it up. And so it was like you trying to figure all those things out in real time was special.
Oh,
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's a great way to say it. Some seems to be that everyone struggles with staff at some point, but I feel like you guys do an extra special job of taking care of your staff, making it feel like a family. What is that secret sauce for you guys that has made you guys, people want to come work for you, and they tend to stick around a little bit?
Who's answering? Okay. I mean, we treat people how we would want to be treated. I think it's just the golden rule. And I think we've both worked in jobs where maybe, a lot of us, you've worked in a job where that you're kind of like doing the work of two people, or
Sure.
you're doing really well and that's not appreciated or noticed or rewarded. And so we were both intentional, I think, from the beginning that we never wanted to be that kind of employer. And we really want to recognize the people that go above and beyond and reward them, with praise and, pay wise and all of those things. It's just treating people, how we would want to be treated. And we have a no gossip policy on our team. So we're like very strict about, we don't talk bad about each other. If you have an issue with someone, you go to them, or, you come to us and we help you work through that. And we just try to be really intentional about the culture that we create and how we treat each other. And
anybody can go. We couldn't at the beginning. We definitely couldn't pay people, super competitive.
Yep.
And so we had to make ourselves competitive in other ways. And one way we really tried to do that was in making sure we took care of people. And when you go into a job and your boss is like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" That versus just that. Not saying anything, just moving on, because you're so busy, you have to be really intentional about making sure you take care of each team member and make sure, as much as it can be difficult, as working around school schedules or sports schedules,
Yeah.
like, I mean, right now we're making this transition, but like 3 team members went from being able to work during the week to only being able to work Saturdays. And it was like, oh man, and so it's, but at the same time, it's like, they're really great. And so it's really great to be nice to people and take care of them when they're really awesome and they do a really good job for you. And
It
so
goes both ways.
It goes
Yeah.
both ways. And so our team has just been phenomenal.
And life happens. Like people, stuff comes up and we don't want to be the person that's like, well, you're scheduled, find someone or come in and work. Like, there's a place for that, but we just want to be understanding and
It's amazing how much you pick up from previous bosses and,
Yeah.
and previous businesses that you've worked in. We've kind of looked at it at Woodstone as I worked for a variety of bosses before I came to work in this company. And I remember very specifically, we had a bunch of high schoolers that worked for us at the TV station I worked at. And there was one kid that was in high school, senior year, and he had asked off for prom already, well before, right? Months before. I'm going to be gone for prom. And the day of prom, the boss calls him up and says, "You got to work." And he goes, "I'm going to prom." He's like, "I don't care. You work or you're fired." And I'm like, I jumped in. I'm like, whoa, time out here. And like, we had a good back and forth with the boss. And I ended up working that kid's shift just so that I'm like, you can't terminate one of the best employees that we have simply because you can't find someone to work the shift. You either come in and do it or, we figure it out. But you have to take care of your people.
yeah.
You have to take care of your people. Otherwise it doesn't work,
That's crazy.
So I don't know.
And Emily, like you said, you can't always be forgiving with schedules, but I think if you set the stage that you want, right, you do it when you can.
They know
now
that
in
you
this
care.
situation, that guy was just a jerk.
Oh yeah,
you
but
know.
that's what I mean. Like you pick it up, and then I had months later, I had a better boss.
Yep.
That was there that just really cared about all of us. Wanted to make sure that we were all, having fun at work, but also had everything that we needed for work and all that kind of stuff. And he was great. I got a chance to work for him twice, and that was phenomenal. He was one of the best bosses I've ever had. So
I work with a schedule of about 30 to 40 people for 24 hours a day shifts at Woodstone. That we have to have staff there, and I try to be as flexible as I can, and it can be really exhausting sometimes because you're fielding a lot of you're fielding a lot of questions, concerns. I can't work. I can't stay past this time.
Yeah.
When you're not at work, right, and you're off time. But I find that while that can be really draining, then there's also times where it's very rewarding, right? So we haven't, if I have an open shift that I just struggle to get covered, a couple staff will come into my office and be like, hey, we noticed this shift has been on the board for a while. So she and I have messaged this person can work half of it in this. So it's like, I'm like, oh, wow. Hey, thanks for helping me do my job. But they own it when they know that I care about their schedules.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then
Exactly.
they care back, and it ends up working out in the long run. But yeah.
Having those team members that you can call and they say, yeah, no, we can come in and help out. You're just like,
Those are the
That
people.
means so much.
I had one send me a text message the other day, and I think if it was anybody else, I would have been really offended by the text. But because it was her, I laughed out loud. It was a meme that she had copied and sent to me a picture of, and it was like, "What are you gonna do if nuclear war starts?" And then the response was, "Well, I'm pretty sure my boss wants me to work, so I'll be at work." And she's one of those people that just picks up shifts and is just consistently there. And I laughed out loud. I was like, "Yeah, and you will too. If I need you there, you'll be there." And I chuckled loud. I was like, "No, that's good." But if it would have been somebody that teeters with calling in and stuff, I would have been like, "Oh, don't go there."
Yeah.
Don't press the luck on the jokes. How about that? Let's start there.
Yeah.
So you guys, we talked about this a little bit, kind of touched around it anyway, but how do you guys distinguish yourself from your competitors? Because there's a lot of other pizza places in town.
I'm gonna try really hard not to trash talk. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
He's joking. We don't
no,
trash talk.
You don't trash talk. No, and honestly, in the restaurant world, you learn that competitive can be good. The more choices that the
Correct.
consumers have, the better, because then they stay in town, right? So
Right.
it's,
And I say that jokingly. I mean, every pizza place has their niche, the things they're good at.
Yep.
Papa Murphy's is so different than what we do, and
Right.
so it's like each pizza place has what they do. But I think what distinguishes it is customer service and how much they care. And so, but if at the same time you can go to Domino's, you can go to Pizza Hut, you can go to Pizza Ranch, but because you want what they have.
Right.
You know, if you like Pizza Ranch, or any of those places, and absolutely no hard feelings. Like they have a great product, and so it's like you can go to them. But if you want Jimmy's, we're gonna do the Jimmy's the best we can, and just really care about everyone who comes in our doors, and that I think sets us apart.
your product is also very consistent. I don't find a fluctuation in toppings or quality or appearance, right? And I think that is something that consumers crave. I'm not going to name a restaurant. It's not pizza anyway, but I have a friend who works for a chain restaurant, and it doesn't matter if there's one in town or not. And she will admit the food is borderline. It's like in between good and mediocre, right? It's not the best place you could eat in town, but it is consistent, and people know exactly what they're getting every time they order. And she thinks that the consumer finds a lot of value in that. And your food isn't consistently mediocre, but it's consistently like top tier. But you're right. Even in our family, our boys, sometimes I'm in the mood for this pizza. I'm in the mood for Jimmy's Pizza. You have different moods, and but
I mean,
you deliver
if
a
you
great
think
product.
about it, so if you're gonna want to order pizza for your friends, and you're gonna order, I mean, we're not the cheapest place in town for pizza. I'm very aware of that. But if you're gonna order a nice pizza for you and your friends, and if at any point you've in the past ordered our pizza and gotten an inconsistent product, are you going to take the gamble with your friends that an inconsistent pizza is going to show up, especially if it's someone who hasn't had Jimmy's before?
Right.
You know what I mean? You may be willing to take that gamble, per se yourself.
Yep.
So that is so important to make sure it is. And we really, really made sure that was something we tried to be consistent with.
Maybe even more than friends, your children, because there's nothing worse than an angry, hungry child.
Yeah. And then making it right when you mess up. I mean, just
Yeah.
really taking that time to care. I mean, just yesterday we accidentally put in a large meat and cheese lovers 25 minutes too early. Just, missed the time. And then the customer came in and so we had another one coming through. So she got 2 pizzas for the price of 1, but we messed up, but we weren't going to give her a crappy pizza.
Right.
But she got both, even though we messed up, because it's we could eat it, but who's going to be happier?
Right.
She'll love it,
Yes, great point. You guys are also really good at little surprises. I can't remember if it was an occasion or just a thanks for ordering, but we got brownie bites one night with a cute little note written on there, and I was like, oh my goodness, what a delightful turn of events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love doing things like that.
It matters to the consumer.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what has been your guys' most satisfying moment in business so far?
It's a really great question.
The thing that popped into mind right away was our Christmas party this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was just really cool. I don't know, it's something about we've just built we have such an amazing team. We say that over and over, but truly everyone on our team, they're just so awesome. And I think the Christmas party this year, we all just had a blast together. We had a fun year in review video, and just kind of looking at how far we've come. It was just kind of cool to realize that, and it was a really special. I think it was a special moment for me. I don't know what.
For me, I
would you
think it was
say?
I think the moment that I felt that was like this is worth it, because it's
Yeah.
a lot of work,
Yeah.
and then it's a lot of headache. It's but also at the same time we were sitting down watching this year in review. Emily spent tons of time putting together this. It was like a video of bloopers, either like team members videoing another team member doing something funny, or or like we go on the cameras, like one of us would slip and fall,
Yeah.
and so then we would do
It was
these
it was
little,
really funny. Yeah,
these
just
little
lots of-
videos, and so it was just so like we were all just dying laughing. And it wasn't just like the team members that were there. Some of them brought their spouses or their significant others, and and so then it was probably a group of like 20 25 people when our team was about 18. So it was like it was so much fun to sit around and laugh. And then also at the end it was like cool reviews that we had gotten from the last year, and people who had really given us a big thank you. And so it was just so cool to sit around with such an awesome team that, like, I'm sure as leaders you guys have this mental list of people who are like, if there's people who are going to go, these are the people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There was nobody on my list. You know what I mean? And like everyone I was excited to have on our team, and I wanted them there. And so it was just that really, really special time. And so that to me was probably the most satisfying, because that's what I would want in a job.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
felt like we were able to provide that, and that really meant a lot.
That's
yeah,
super cool.
and one other thing, I remember this because I actually teared up, and it was probably like 3-4 months ago, something like that. I was delivering pizza, and I like brought a delivery, walked up to the door, handed off. Dad and his little girl were there, grabbed the pizza, and I hopped back in my truck, and I could look like through their dining room window, and I saw like the little girl with the pizza box like running into the living room, and she was like all excited, and everyone was like gathering around the pizza, and it just like reminded me when I was a kid. I grew up in Dassel, and we ordered from Jimmy's Pizza in Dassel, and pizza night was like we all looked forward to it. I grew up on a farm. Like a lot of times after we butchered chickens, we'd get pizza that night. It was kind of like our reward, and it was always like it was sentimental in a way. Like we looked forward to that, and just seeing them like being like, wow, like we're a part of creating these experiences and these memories for these families and kids, and like there's something really special about that.
So much happens around food.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much conversation and connection, and we talk about that we need stools for our island, because when one of us is making dinner, the other one is just like there and feels in the way, but we like to be in the same space. And then the conversations that happen when you're cooking, when you're teaching your kids how to make cookies, when they decide on a recipe and you make it together, when you sit down to eat, like the connection that happens around food. And so to kind of be able to peek into the window and see that sort of start to come together, super cool. Yeah. You guys do good stuff.
All right, so real quick, you guys, how do people find you? If they want to order pizza now after hearing all this, how do they find you?
Jimmy'sPizzaHutch.com.
So you guys can order online, and you guys can order over
online,
the phone,
Order over the phone. Yep.
all that kind
You
of
have a
fun stuff.
rewards program.
Yep.
So if you like to order a lot of Jimmy's Pizza, it behooves you to become a reward member.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, $5 later. No, no. It's we just try and create a system, and we're working on creating a system that just works consistently. And but yeah, so Jimmy'sPizzaHutch.com. You can call us 320-587-7633.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Well, we really appreciate you guys being on the show today. I told you it was going to go really fast, and you'd have a great conversation, and I think we nailed it,
Nailed it.
Jill.
Well, you
Yeah.
told me it was
I
gonna
think
be
we
3
nailed it,
hours
guys.
long.
3 hours
we're
long.
only,
We're 43 minutes on it right now. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again on another great podcast. Again, we're just off to a solid start for season 3, and can't wait to show and share more stories about our awesome little town here in Hutchinson, Minnesota. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you all real soon.